Okay, so I did a lot of printing since I got my printer bought a couple days ago, and I'm sure it's probably a newbie thing because it's my first printer ever. But I got my extruder tip clogged up a few times, so I've been soaking it in fingernail polish for a while. I also used lacquer thinner on an earlier attempt, which worked, I think, equally as fine. It's been sitting here for almost a day, and you can already see through the hole. Less than a day. It's probably only been like 12 hours. What I do, and I recommend to anybody else, clean out the tip as much as you can before you put it in here, because the liquid is only going to touch so much of the plastic that's inside, and if there's a big glob of plastic inside, it's only going to soften the top layer of that plastic. So if you can get the plastic in there as thin as you can, it will soften all the plastic and it comes out pretty easy. So just going to take this guy out of here. Now my process is I have this little needle for sewing. It's not a sewing needle. There's no eye. It's for like tacking things down. I come over and I find the hole up right here, and I kind of just stick the needle in there and apply pressure and kind of twist it and try to get all the junk out as much as I can, pushing it out through where it would have come in. And then inside of here, I'll, take the needle and just kind of dig stuff out. It's really slow and kind of painful, but it works over time. And it's a lot better than going and trying to buy new tips that are out of stock right now and $8 a piece. So it is doable. Don't get frustrated. I was definitely frustrated, but yes. So I'm going to put this video on pause real quick and then make sure it's all completely clean inside so that no loose junk gets tried to extrude through again and clog it again. And then I'll get on to assembling it and warming it back up, and while it's warming up I'll kind of go over the settings that I've come up with that just kind of help people out. Okay, so now my tip is completely clean inside and out. There's no plastic inside whatsoever. Okay, I found out again, or it got froze. I realized I had to empty my memory. Anyways, I'm back now and everything should be good. What you missed when I didn't realize I wasn't recording anymore was I just hand tightened this guy on. And then it's a 3/4 inch wrench I use to just keep this guy in place while I'm tightening down any further. Once it's warmed up, then you can do the final final little tiny turn just to get it on there tight enough so that plastic isn't oozing out. And this is a 7/16. I don't know if that's really the size though. It's a little bit wobbly on it. So, but it works. So now what I'm going to do is warm it up. I'll pause it before I warm it up. It already extruded out, so I know that the tip is clean. That's good. But then once it's all warmed up, I'll unpause it and show you guys how my printer is printing. And then once the print is started, I'll go over my settings for that print. Right? Okay, so now I'm back. It is at 200 degrees. They say you can print between 195 and 200, but I have found that 200 is the most effective for me. That might also be the reason why I keep on getting clogged nozzles. I'm not really sure, because I know that it probably has something to do with plastic getting burnt. But then again, I haven't had any plastic come out that was burnt, so I'm not really sure yet. But what I'm going to be printing is not what's shown. This is part of the Raspberry Pi case that I was trying to print earlier. So this is as far as I got before. You can kind of tell it's just like the bottom layer before I think the printer clogged up, and you can see there's just crazy mess everywhere. So anyways, I'm going to try again, and I'm going to show you guys how mine isn't quite level, even though it has an auto level. Right now I have the Z-axis set at -6. I know it's a little bit different for everybody, but it tends to dig in on this side of the table and then be a little bit high on this side of the table. And you can already see on some of my past prints on this tape where the extruder the tip has dug into the tape. And it even gets worse. But 6 is working for me right now. So I'll start the print, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea of what I'm dealing with right now. For those of you who don't own metals and are looking forward to getting one, the sensor has this little red light on top of it that turns on when the extruder gets close enough to the table. And it measures 3 different places on this table, which should, in theory, auto level. I wonder how much, though, from the sensor to the tip, that difference, if that has something to do with the error level of its auto leveling. So there we go. You can hear it digging into the tape over there and printing over here. The unfortunate thing about that, which I'm sure you all know, is that the right side of the print sometimes will warp, and the left side of the print just has a bunch of tape stuck in it because the printer nozzle is digging into the tape. Not to mention that it's technically uneven. You know, when it comes out, it's not as even as it should have been, so if you're really looking for a detailed print, it's kind of a pain in the butt. And this is interesting, that first top layer, or the bottom layer as it were, you can really see where it starts to go from low to high, because the layer gets thinner and thinner and thinner until there is no more layer. It's just digging into tape. The other bad thing about that too is, I mean, the tape has a little bit of a texture to it, so you know, when you're printing so close to the tape, the plastic is still cooling off and retains a bit of that paint's fingerprint. You know, so for example, I'm printing the same thing off right now as this is, and let's see, it's this way. So this corner right here, you know, you can see there's tape. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus well enough. But it's got a bad texture to it. It's not smooth by any means. I guess this side isn't all that much either, but it's better over here than it is over here. You can see where the tape has come up. So it's just happily printing away nothing. And this might also have something to do with why my extruder or tip clog, because it's trying to extrude and it can't extrude as much as it's supposed to be. I don't know. I'm still problem solving. But while that is printing, I'm going to open up Slicer so I can show you my settings. Alright, So, for those of you who are new at this will be interesting. Those of you who know what you're doing, you can just stop watching my video. But this is where you have all your different settings, or your saved profiles. Right now I'm running Fast and Funky, which is what I thought would be a faster print than like what a normal one, the default one would be. And it's got honeycomb filling, where it's not like a solid fill, it's just like this. This is what Fast and Funky does for me. So if this is the kind of print that you want, where you want to fill something in with like a honeycomb, then this setting guide will help you out. So what I have in the layers and parameters is a layer height of 0.1. Oh, you can read it. I'm not going to read this off to you. I'm going to go over to my infill. I've read somewhere on some forums that 0.2 density is probably the most you need. And later on in the advanced settings, we'll talk a little bit more about the infill. And anything else, like the reduced printing time, I don't really understand that. But the advanced, I know solid fill is like if you just want a solid block of something. But I'm not quite sure what it means to have every other layer or infill every 5 layers, what that would do. I haven't played around with it enough. Speed. These are my speed settings. I thought things would go faster, and maybe I still need to play around with some stuff to make it go even faster than that. I don't really care too much about resolution on some prints, so I'd like some prints just to be super fast. The skirt is the thing that goes around your print to, empty out whatever gunk may be in your extruder. And I set mine to 3. Pretty close to the object too. Because right now I'm trying to pay attention to how well the auto leveling works. Sport material I don't have any on because I'm pissed off with the sport material settings. I haven't figured that out yet. This stuff is all junk. I don't care about it. Advanced. So on the forum they said if you had a 0.2 infill from the infill setting, to put infill here at 300%. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's worked for me. Some people have problems with their infill not, like the little honeycombs, not sitting on top of each other or looking ugly or kind of just being junky and messing up their extruder. And then for my filament settings, go ahead and read those real quick. If I can hold my camera still enough for you to read. I haven't really played with this too much. Besides setting, bed size, whatever, the thing about printer settings that is cool, and they cover in the Printrbot official, YouTube posts. This G-code right here, you can set, custom G-code that's automatically placed into your G-code whenever you slice using this profile. And the G28 is what does your homing, sets your X and your Y, and you can even do a Z2, but I've been playing around with it to try and figure out my auto level stuff. Gives it the command to home X and Y. And then G29 is the order that tells your auto level to auto level. And I don't know yet if there's parameters that you can put in after that G29, like X minus 2 or something, and what that would do, but it's worth looking into. I need to read up on the code. And then these are, you can determine what you want to do after a print. Like if you don't want to turn off the temperature, sometimes like you just want to keep on printing and it's annoying because you forget to turn back on your heat. I might delete this on some profiles. Anyways, those are my settings. So those are my settings for this style and what it's printing right now. This is the first layer of the honeycomb. Goes pretty fast for the honeycomb. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and then come back and we'll pick up from there. Okay, so about 5 minutes has elapsed, and one thing to point out is it's starting to warp, and that's annoying to me. I gotta figure out some way to do it because I don't like the raft. The raft kind of makes the rest of the print look bad. So I gotta figure out some way to make a raft that will help me stop warping, or level this table so it'll stop warping. And something I've noticed, right now I have the z-axis set at -6. When I had it set at -5, it didn't make the grinding sound that it makes now as it prints. So it's almost like, I mean, obviously the robot doesn't know the height of the object that it's printed. It knows what it is supposed to be. And so it's possible that, you know, the object is higher and that's why it's grinding, whatever, but it's been grinding, making a grinding sound ever since we changed it to -6. You can notice it when it does long lines. Right there. Alright, so now it's starting to print a top layer on top of the honeycomb. I don't like the resolution that's coming out at, and that's probably because I still have some playing around to do. I think I changed it to like a 0.1 when I'm used to like printing with a 0.3. That might have to do with the way it's coming out. Good thing is the warping didn't get really all that bad. It's really just that bridge. Back to the print, and it's looking pretty good so far. There, I got my lights turned on. I don't know if you can see it all that well though. It does look a little rough at the bottom. A little warping, possibly. I'll be able to tell till it's off, but the inside looks good, and that's a plus. We got about an hour and 22 minutes left on this print. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty tall wall. And I'll be back when it's close to being done or done. Okay, so it just finished. I didn't catch it in time to watch it do its last little laps, but that's a waste of time anyways. Looks pretty good. You can see, you know, a little ridge here. Fit into the next piece that'll print off. Little cutouts for Raspberry Pi pieces. And then let's peel it off here. So there's the front. Focus. So you can see there's some tape left over. Oh, I gotta turn on my extruder heat real quick. Alright. It's a little rough around the edges here. It warped here on the corner. Warped here on this corner. Pretty much all the corners. And I assume that most of this kind of stuff gunking out here, I don't know if you can even see it, around the corners, like where it warped, and then like the major body over here, all that gunk is probably from it warping up in. And then the printer trying to print where it's supposed to, and the material kind of getting pushed down and relaxing back up once the printer's done. So anyhow, it worked. And you can see honeycomb pattern inside. And that's pretty neat. So, there you have it. If you guys have any questions or would like me to print something specific, I'll definitely try to answer them and or make those videos. Thanks for your time.